Okay, welcome to our next video of Filmaholics. I'm Matthew, and this is Isabel. Today we're going to be talking about the Oscars 2020. So we're breaking down, at least I am. I'm not sure how you're going to go about yours yet. Breaking down just what I want to see nominated, not necessarily what I think is going to be nominated. After the actual nominations come out, we'll do some more videos and talk about that. But right now, I just want to break down each category, the bigger categories, and talk about what we think should be nominated. All right. Abel, you got any thoughts?
Someone's going to like that movie no one sees coming. That's the one that is going to win Best Picture.
Probably.
Watch it beat the Joker.
We'll get to that. Okay. So our first topic that the first category that we're gonna talk about is Best Supporting Actor. I felt like it was the category we had to start with because it's the first category they start with at Oscars. And if we weren't doing this YouTube video, if the person I didn't want to win, if the person I wanted to win didn't win in this category, I'd probably turn off the show. But we're going to talk about it, so I will keep watching regardless. So I have 5 people listed that I think should be nominated for Best Supporting Actor. That's how many get in that category. But first, before I do that, I'm going to start with an honorable mention. And the honorable mention for that category is Robert Downey Jr. for Avengers Endgame. I would love to see him nominated for this Oscar. I don't think it'll happen. Overall, it probably shouldn't happen. He's great in this movie. He's the best he's ever been as Iron Man in this film. But the more I kept thinking about it, because originally I had him in my top to be nominated for Best Supporting Actor. But the more I kept thinking about it, the more I was like, I feel like I'm just trying to give this to him because I want him to get an Oscar for playing Iron Man, not because of his performance in this film. And I've always said that an Oscar shouldn't be about a person's career or anything like that. It should be about their one particular performance. So I can't put him in that top 5, but I do think he should be an honorable mention. So the first person I'm going to mention that I think should be nominated is the person I want to win, the person that should win, and that's Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Brad Pitt is so fucking cool in this role. He delivers on every level. He's the best that I think he's ever been in a film. And it's about time that he wins an Oscar for acting. I think the Academy is on his side in this award season. I think he has a very good chance of winning. Everyone who I talked to about this film, even if they didn't really like the film, which I don't understand, but if they didn't, they still agree that Brad Pitt was amazing in it. So that's my first pick. Do you want to give a pick now, or do you want me to keep going with my top choices? Or I know you have some thoughts on this, so you go ahead.
Well, let me start off first with my honorable mentions that I hit for my first pick.
Yeah.
So my honorable mention would be Sam Rockwell. Okay. I want him to get knocked for Jojo Rabbit, not Richard Jewell. Right. For Jojo Rabbit, just because I watched it today and it was just he barely had at least 6 total minutes of screen time. But for me, he still stole the show. And I think his horrible German accent was done on purpose, to be honest. At first I was like, what the hell is going on? And I was just like, I think it's actually done on purpose. You know who the director is.
Yeah.
And especially part of when all those Nazis came and checked the house. Spoilers and basically especially the close the last act. Oh man.
His last scene in the film with the kid, that was amazing. And honestly, he was originally in my top at some point too.
Yeah.
His performance in that is great. And I know some people were suggesting Taika be nominated for the film, and Taika's great in it, but he's better at directing the film than he is in his role, because his role is actually pretty small. It's like most of what you see from Taika in the film is in the trailers, and that's what you get, and it's great. But Sam Rockwell's performance, as always, just like touches you. I don't know. It was great to me.
And then the second one will be Jamie Foxx.
For which one? With Just Mercy?
Just Mercy. Now, like, just before we get into it, like my picks are mostly like from like not from what I want, but from what I think what the Academy will choose.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I don't know. Just from watching the trailers, I think his performance just seems really okay. Like he might get that consideration or not. Yeah. Now with my first pick, I'm gonna go with you, Brad Pitt. That's like the obvious choice. Like, dude, I remember watching that movie. I was just like, dang, this man's like cool. I remember me and you were trying to get the outfits and stuff. I just at this point I'm just content with like getting the champion T-shirt.
I'm not gonna lie, I bought the boots and the jean jacket.
I am not getting the boots. But yeah,
or the moccasins.
Like I want him to win it. And I think that's like the most like obvious choice here. It's like, but I don't know. It's just like you just don't know. There's always that. I don't know. I'm really scared about this one though. Well,
I'm really scared
categories
too.
right now.
And this is the one I'm most passionate about. Out of all the categories in here, I most want Brad Pitt to win for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There's really only one person that I can see beating him, and that's my second person on this list, and that's Al Pacino for The Irishman.
That's the person that's scaring the hell out of me right now.
But the thing is okay, Joe Pesci's not on my list. But a lot of people are saying that Al Pacino and Joe Pesci should both be nominated. And I think if they both get nominated, the votes between them will be split, and Brad Pitt will have a higher chance of getting the actual Oscar. I don't think Joe Pesci should be nominated. He was great. He was good, but he shouldn't be nominated. Al Pacino was the standout of that film. For the 4 hours that you watch it, the best part is Al Pacino. He really delivers in that film. Do you have a next pick? I'll go ahead and throw a third one out there, and that's your boy Timothée Chalamet for Little Women.
Oh, actually, then okay.
Which I don't think he'll get nominated, but he's in my top 5. Which Little Women was the last film I watched of the decade. I watched it the other night, and Chalamet, which I haven't been a huge fan of in most of his work before now, but I thought he really delivered in Little Women. I could feel the emotion in every scene that he was in. Thought he did great.
All right, I'm gonna get my second and third. Al Pacino, you already said it for me. My third, Tom Hanks.
Have you seen that movie, or you just?
I have not, but I haven't just because it's like, what's the dude's name again? Rogers something.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers. Sorry. Mr. Rogers. And plus, he's just been consistent really well with the Academy lately. So yeah. My fourth pick would be William Dafoe for Lighthouse.
Okay. Did you watch that?
I watched like the first half of it, but I enjoyed it.
Okay.
It's just like the stream almost on and just cut off. I couldn't get back onto it.
I wouldn't mind if Dafoe got nominated. His performance was really good, despite me not loving the film.
Oh, I like weird shit. I was enjoying it.
But he was somebody I considered when I was doing my list. Tom Hanks was really good in the film. Just the film, like Lighthouse kind of didn't wow me. I did like it better than Lighthouse, but it should have been a Mr. Rogers movie. It should have had Tom Hanks as the lead and like focused on him and his life, but instead they pushed him to the side. Obviously, he's a supporting actor, and I think that was a mistake and kind of lessened the film for me in a way. But the next, I have two more on my list. Was that all your list?
I still have one more.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and say my fourth or my third pick, and that is my fourth, yeah, and that is Song Kang-ho from Parasite. He played the dad in Parasite. I thought he was a standout of that movie, which is a very, very good film. He brought a lot of emotion to it. He just there's a scene where he's I don't want to spoil the film, but he has to sit there and listen to other people talk about him and not let on that he's there. And it was so hard to watch, but he played it so well. And like, I think he really deserved recognition for that. The last person I'm going to name, my fifth pick, is Shia LaBeouf for Honey Boy.
Okay.
And this was kind of a mixed thing too, because his performance in Honey Boy wasn't actually my favorite performance of his of the year. It was actually Peanut Butter Falcon. But this was kind of the situation where I was like, what is actually going to get nominated? And I don't think Peanut Butter Falcon, for some reason, is going to get nominated for much. So I did go with Honey Boy for this. And another reason I think it's a harder performance for him to play, because he is playing his dad in the film and doing some pretty awful shit to him, his character. That was just really emotional to watch. But have you seen Honey Boy yet?
No.
Should definitely check it out. All right, who's your last pick?
It's going to be quite controversial. But I think people will be like, kind of like, what the hell? Like, what the hell's going on with what you're thinking? But I'm just going to give you a hint.
Yeah, I think that right now. But go ahead.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll take last minute Chris Evans.
Chris Evans?
Okay. For Captain America. Now, I'm not saying this just because, like, I think the guy should get just because his career accolades, whatever, for like the last 10 years for him working for Marvel, but his performance in that was just like emotional. Like, dude, I cried more when he had that dance at the end more than I cried for Iron Man. It's just like, well, it's just how you've seen him, like, from the first Captain America till now, how he, like, just progressed as a character. As well, and also how he embodied his role as Steve Rogers is something really good.
Okay.
You know, I don't know, just like, I don't know, just watching all whole movies, just like, it was just like, I wasn't watching Chris Evans portray Captain America or Steve Rogers. I was actually seeing Steve Rogers on the screen just portraying himself. And especially like, was it that scene when he went back to that base in New Jersey? Remember?
The which scene?
Yeah, the army base.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and like that moment he had, like, when he was looking at Peggy, and he, like, basically all those, like, thoughts I imagine he had in his head, like, were like what, like, thoughts like I can just leave everything behind here and just say forget, well, it's my timeline. I can, you know, just live my life right now and just go like walk in like racing Ramon and just go like, what to do? I'm back. But I don't know, like, if it does happen, I'll be happy. And I'm pretty sure like a couple people will be cool with it and be moderate about it. But you know, part of Lawrence Fishburne, he might throw like a rant, like a Christian Bale rant. But I don't like to see it though. I think his performance for me was better compared to Robert Downey Jr. Looking back on it now and a couple of rewatches.
Wow. I will say one of my favorite scenes in that movie is between the two of them, and that's the beginning with them arguing over the breakfast, and he flips the bowl. Like that was one of the best acted scenes in the film, I think.
Yeah, like Steve Rogers is the cat, and what is it? What's it? Tony that chick just pointing at the cat. That meme, you know what I'm talking about?
I don't think so.
Okay, when the cat's just like this, like behind the table, he's just like.
Oh yeah. The
girl just like. Yeah, that's how it was.
All right. So our next category is Best Supporting Actress. We're going to start. My honorable mention that didn't make it into the top 5, but I did think she was very good in the film, is Nicole Kidman in Bombshell. A lot of people are talking about Margot Robbie for Bombshell, or Charlize Theron for her role as Megyn Kelly. But they're not really talking about Nicole Kidman for some reason, and I really think that, honestly, Nicole Kidman had the strongest performance in the film. And she, honestly, most of her roles, I think, that she takes nowadays are really good. But it didn't make it into my top 5, but it is an honorable mention. My first person that I want to throw out there is going to be Florence Pugh for Little Women, which I just watched the other night. Florence Pugh is very, very good in Little Women. And I don't know if she'd be my pick to win right now, but I think it's a very good chance that she would win. There's one scene in the film where she talks about marriage, and she's talking to Timothée Chalamet's character, and it feels like the film just stops in a great way, and you're just all in on her performance in that scene. And I think, like, if she was nominated, that would be the scene that plays at the Oscars for, like, your consideration.
All right, I'm gonna have 2 picks, 1 and a 2.
Okay.
Florence Pugh, because that exact thing you're talking about, I was like, damn, I watched that on Instagram. I was just like, dang, I haven't seen the movie, and I was just like, man, it's right there, it's sold. There you go. Now the second for me, this chick, this woman here, I don't say chick, she's not, but whatever. She knows how to play that like bitch type role, I guess you can say. And I'm just gonna give you a hint. She's in Big Little Lies. It will be Laura Dern.
Story. Okay.
Oh man, I never like. She's the reason why I don't want to get married. That lawyer. So, like, you go from like, how the hell do you go from like, oh, I love your play, and 2 hours later you go from like, yeah, you gotta divorce that asshole. Like, I don't know, like, she did a good, like I wanted to strangle the character at times. I don't feel like, you know, like when it makes you want to, like, actors or actor makes you want to like choke them. It means like they're doing a really good job, or they're doing a terrible job, and then he's like, "Dang, I just wasted $10 for that." But in this case, I want to strangle her, and I'm saying this as a compliment.
Well, you're going to be very happy because she's definitely going to get nominated. I'm going to go ahead and say that she's not on my list. I think Laura Dern's performance in Marriage Story is really good. To me, it's not award worthy, but I don't know. I think she's a good. I don't know. Like from what I've seen, she's in the lead for a lot of it. Like people's thoughts about it. But if you just like Florence Pugh that I just threw out there, if you compare Florence Pugh's performance in that one scene that I just talked about, the one she talks about marriage, to Laura Dern as the lawyer in Marriage Story, to me, there's no competition. Florence Pugh automatically wins. But I don't know. The Oscars are about more than that, too, more than just the performance, unfortunately. It's about politics and campaigning and all that. So we'll see.
Who says the positive?
I mean, Laura Dern has been in the industry longer too, so that's just something to think about. The next person that I'm going to mention is going to be Rebecca Ferguson for Dr. Sleep. No way that she's actually nominated, but she should be, because that performance was chilling. The standout from the film, and this is a film that has Ewan McGregor, who I love in it, and it's a sequel to The Shining. It's got all this different stuff. It's got good performances in the film. The little girl's a standout. She's great in it. But Rebecca Ferguson steals the show. Rose the Hat was, I think, her character's name. It was her character's name. And just the standout of the film. Just fantastic. Keeps you engaged the whole time. One of the best film characters of 2019, in my opinion.
Okay. That was your second, right?
Yeah, that's the second person I mentioned, yeah. I got 3 more.
All right. For my third, you want me to say something controversial or something that you kind of go like, okay?
It's up to you.
All right, let's go controversial here.
Okay.
My girl J-Lo.
Okay. I haven't seen Hustlers, so I really can't talk about it. But
I haven't seen either, but like I don't know, just like from small clips I watch from YouTube and probably like from other people or articles kind of going for it. And plus, since I kind of had a harder time, like deciphering, like who should I get nominated? Jennifer Lopez, especially like from the movie, just like they're not bad people, but they do bad things so they can survive in the real world,
Yeah. The first part of your quote there came from Bloodline. Yeah. People should watch on Netflix. Sorry. So, go ahead.
I don't know, this is like a strong possibility that it might happen. Mostly, I think it's going to happen because one of the reasons you mentioned why a person can count, like either from politics or who, like deposit and all that. So, I don't know, I think, it could happen. It could happen.
I think it's possible. Yeah.
But
it's probably the only way I watch that film is if she gets nominated. So I have to watch it to talk about it. But
I really can't with that for that. All right, so only guys in my fourth now.
Yeah, go ahead and say your next one.
All right, Margot Robbie.
For what film?
Oh, Bombshell.
Bombshell. Okay. Did you say you watched Bombshell or no?
No.
Okay.
So you just think your work, what is it? The character she plays? She works for Fox News, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, all of the characters in this film work for Fox News, but
okay. Now I don't have to kind of see the movie, but I know people that act that certain way.
They do what?
I know people that act that certain way. They don't they don't necessarily give a shit. They just kind of I'm just in this to get attention or whatever. I don't know what the fuck I
get. I think you should watch the film. She's I think her character is actually based off several different women who came forward that were sexually harassed at Fox News. Roger Ailes. She gives a really good performance in the film. I don't want to take anything away from her performance. But that's going to get to my next pick, and that is Margot Robbie, but not for Bombshell, for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Her performance in Bombshell, like I said, was good, but I think a lot of actresses could have came in and played that role because Bombshell isn't devoted to just one story. It's devoted to the sexual harassment at Fox News. So it's split up among these characters, and that's fine. I think it would have been better if it focused on one of those characters in particular, or maybe just two of them instead of trying to split up among the three. But I think her performance in Once Upon a Time is better because she really just becomes Sharon Tate, and that's not just the physical sense too, like getting the contact lenses and all that. She just really becomes Sharon Tate, and that's something that Brad Pitt and Leo didn't have to do in the film. They were playing original characters; they could make it their own. She actually had to become a real person and fit into this narrative that Quentin Tarantino was telling, and she really becomes the heartbeat of the film. She's so pure and nice and just speaks of that decade and of that year and what the film is really trying to tell. And I think that her performance in that film is going to get overlooked because of Bombshell and other films and stuff that's came out, and Brad Pitt's performance in Once Upon a Time. But I don't think it should. I think people should recognize how great she is in this film, and I think she should be nominated. And then I'm going to go to my fourth pick, which is Thomasin McKenzie for Jojo Rabbit. She plays the kid that Scarlett Johansson is hiding.
Yeah.
What's that?
That woman's practically in a gold.
She's great in it. She was great in a film called Leave No Trace last year that I can't remember if she got a nomination. I don't think she did. I think I would have nominated her last year for that. But she's exceptional in this film. It's the second time that I've seen her do something really exceptional. It's time the Academy recognizes her and gives her this nomination. I have one more pick. Do you have one more pick?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to say yours first?
Johansson for Jojo Rabbit.
Okay, well that's my last pick too, so we can talk about it.
All right. Oh man, like let's start with the sad part. Jesus Christ, did I cry when I found that out?
Me too, man. Like that hit me so emotionally, and like I didn't expect it to happen in the film. I don't know why. It's like as soon as he like turns around and sees her feet there, and I'm like, oh my god, because I can't imagine being in his position, especially as a kid, and like turn around and seeing your mom there. And spoilers if you haven't seen Jojo Rabbit, I'm sorry, but it fucked me up. That movie fucked me up. That scene, and then after having to deal with that, and then we get into the end, and then the scene with I don't know why I'm blanking on my boy's name there. What's it?
Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell, yeah. The scene with him at the end just really got me.
Like, I don't know. Like, I was happy at first when I saw her shoes. I was like, finally. And I was just like, wait a minute. He's floating. This is not good.
No, it's not good.
Those shoes just look like they just gone through depression. It's like they turned gray. But I kind of like the lead up to that. Just real quick from like how it led up. It's like how it started, like when they went like to the central part of the town, and they saw pretty much the body hanging from there. And from that, it like there were moments that it cut to her feet specifically. Like basically, it gave us like tiny, subtle, like context clues. Like, hey, like it's not going to end up for her really well, especially when she's like against the Nazi party.
Yeah, I want to say that like there, and I mentioned this to you before we started recording this video, that there are several actors that I have nominated multiple times in different categories, and she is one of them. We'll go ahead and reveal that now. But she, I think, probably has the best year as far as acting goes. Like, not just the 2 films that she should get nominated for, in my opinion, but let's also talk about her performance in Avengers Endgame. Like, I don't think she should get nominated for it, but she was really good in Endgame. Like, there are multiple scenes in that film that's like, wow. And it's her performance in that. Like, with the scene with her and Cap when she's eating the sandwich, and like, that was incredible. The scene, I'll see you in a minute. How you rewatching that now, and when just her in that scene just like tears at you in the scene, obviously with what happens, it's pretty heartbreaking.
Oh, just to add to Scarlett Johansson, that part when they were fighting and like when they were eating dinner, that was the moment I knew. I was like, this one's gonna get nominated. When she was feeling like the mom and dad at the same time. It was like it was a nice, like a really good hard scene, a good moment. And like I don't know, like I was just like smiling and just watching that whole entire. It was just that performance.
And the fact that she's playing like this kind woman who's protective and supportive of her son, even though her son is, looking up to Nazis as heroes. Like, obviously, you find out more in the film, and he's just a kid, but she sees him as just a kid. But the stuff she has to go through to make sure that he's okay in the film, it's like, yeah.
I mean, she was just like, "Hey, my son comes first."
Yeah.
She didn't flat out say it, but that's how it came off.
Okay, so our next category is best cinematography. The first one that I want to, the first person I want to throw out is the person who is most likely going to win this year, and I haven't seen the film yet, but that's 1917, and that's Roger Deakins. Roger Deakins is an incredible cinematographer, probably the best cinematographer to ever live. And just from the trailers of 1917, I can tell it's going to be amazing as far as cinematography goes. So I had to throw him in there just because we pretty much know he's going to win. He's a lock, definitely, at this point.
All right. My number 2, because you basically already said it for me. Ad Astra.
Yes, that is in my top 5 as well.
Like, my man, like, I think that's the only thing probably. Cinematography and score, I'm like, probably. But for sure, cinematography, I hope so. Like, man, like, that movie just had, like, beautiful, beautiful shots. And it's like, and also, like, the blending of colors, too, they have.
Yeah.
Like, my God, like, every like cinematography, like, from the shots, like, even like what is it, when they were like in the beach chase, whatever, like in the moon.
Yeah, the chasing.
Oh, yeah, the chasing. Yeah. Man, like, oh, like I feel like that's not part of me right now. Just thinking about it. You know what I mean? I'm talking about.
No.
Where the guy just has all the steaming all over the room and there. That's how I feel like. Like, he's not gonna win.
No, definitely not.
1917 is for sure gonna win that, especially like with what's like the one shot. Like the Academy's gonna be like, yeah, we want that. But Ad Astra, you get like a nomination, like it deserves a nomination. It's like I know that movie had like mixed reviews, but like there's no deny, like that is some like fucking piece of art right there.
It really is. It shouldn't have even had mixed reviews. I don't understand people sometimes, but
me neither. I don't understand character development.
My next pick is Robert Richardson, and that's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Really, everything about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is perfect. Richardson has worked with Tarantino a lot. Most of the time that he works with Tarantino, he's nominated, and that's because he should be nominated. He's exceptional. Every scene that most of Tarantino's movies, most of the scenes are just, they could be art themselves. Just like the still frame picture of a Tarantino film is art. And that's because of Richardson. The way he shoots and like sets the scene up is fantastic. You look at certain scenes of Spawn Ranch, just certain shots in this film of Brad Pitt's in the car, and like Leo, it's just different things that's like amazing. Personally, he would be my pick to win. He won't win, but he will get nominated this year.
That's good. All right, so my third pick, Once Upon a Time.
You got anything to say about
it? Just to add on from what you said. Jesus Christ, brother, they did a really good job of just bringing that time in Hollywood to life. Like,
yeah.
This generation, like when Killeth was just heading to this mobile home, that was some good stuff right there. Especially like when they were like at the ranch. Was it like when he was taking Rick home after that meltdown he had at the Mexican restaurant, and he spotted what's her name again? Pussycat?
Yes.
Yeah. And like how they made eye contact, that was really good.
The film,
especially when Sharon Tate was walking around town.
Oh yeah.
That was a good shot.
The film feels nostalgic without being in your face about it. Yeah. Like, there's some films that try to feel that way, and then like it goes extra like I don't know, but glossy feeling, I guess is the right word. And this film takes you back to that time period in a natural way, and I think that's owed to Robert Richardson for it.
For me, I disagree when for me it felt like it was opening your face, but it still felt natural.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's a little bit different because one example is Mad Men, right, which is in the 1960s as well, and that's kind of what I was just thinking about. Which Mad Men doesn't try to feel nostalgic at all. Like Once Upon a Time feels that way, but in a natural way. Like I'm saying, Mad Men is like, this is the 1960s. We're not trying to feel nostalgic about it. This is the 1960s.
All right.
The next one that I have is Joker, which is Lawrence Shear, I think is his name. Now,
lawsuit.
What's that?
I was gonna say it's gonna be like, that's my award.
I didn't love Joker, but there are a couple things about that film that really stand out, and that is score and cinematography. Cinematography is exceptional. It's probably one of the best shot films as far as comic book films go that I've seen. And then the final film that I have in my list, I'll go ahead and mention throughout there, is The Lighthouse, which is another film that I didn't love, but I loved looking at it. It was beautiful, beautifully shot.
All right. I'm a what is it? Yeah, Lighthouse. Yeah, I saw the first half of it, and it was like, black and it was black and white, but it was still some stuff that I'm pretty sure if I lived like back in 1935, my butt would be like this. Like same way when I was watching Quiet Place, I was like this. It has a pretty good good shots, like especially like when they have like the lighthouse with the thunder and then just going back and forth, like one shot here is like, cut to that guy, cut to that, cut to that, cut to that. Yeah. Like that. Damn, me and you mostly agree on this shit. Parasite. I didn't see the movie. which you just like don't have to watch the movie to appreciate the cinematography.
Is that your last pick for cinematography?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You necessarily don't have to watch it to appreciate the cinematography. You can like just watch a few clips here and there, watch a trailer, or whatever kind of social media you're on. Most of the time, you can get the picture from that, and it's just like the colors and stuff and shots. I heard there was like a scene when people were swimming like sewers or something.
I'm not going to tell you anything about the film. You need to go watch it.
Okay, so basically they were swimming like in sewers or something, and like obviously that's nasty as hell.
Yeah.
But if it makes you want to put your swim trunks on to join them,
well, I'm not going to say it did that, but it was a very well shot film. Definitely, yeah. Parasite's great, which takes us to the next category, which is Best Director. And well, before I go into that, I do want to go throw out an honorable mention that I know is not going to get nominated, but is somebody who I think deserves recognition because they did a fantastic job, and that's Mike Flanagan for Dr. Sleep. This movie hit on so many emotional levels, but it also hit on like horror levels, and it hit on just the way shots were filmed, like flipping through the air and just turning around and different stuff like that, but also feeling like a fresh, new, original story. I mean, obviously it was an adaptation, but something we hadn't seen on the big screen before, and also being a continuation of The Shining. I thought Mike Flanagan did a great job, and is another great step in his career as a filmmaker. Now, next person I'm going to go talk about is Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. Parasite was fantastic, was very well directed. That was probably the best thing about the film was the direction. I think he has a very, very good chance of winning Best Director this year.
He's going to win it for sure.
You think so?
Yeah.
That's your first pick?
Well, the first pick, you already said it for me. I'm not going to add anything to it. But I do want to throw an honorable mention, and it'll be Todd Phillips.
For Joker?
Joker. I don't know, like, from the cinematography, it was obvious that he copied a lot from what Martin Scorsese did, and he didn't shy away from it, which is, and also like isn't necessarily to copy someone else's work. Like Tarantino has done it. Logic has done it with his music. But if you can still copy it but still make it your own, that's still good. You should get a pass.
Yeah.
So that's my I will mention. Despite my opinion about the movie, if he gets nominated, I'll be cool with it, to be honest. Even if he wins it, I'll be like, okay, not bad.
Yeah, we'll be very unhappy if he wins, but if he I'm not going to be surprised if he gets a nomination, though.
All right.
The next person I'm going to mention.
I have to say my first one. That was just like.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. What's that dude's name again from Marriage Story? Noah
Baumbach, and he's also in mine.
Yeah, yeah, Noah Baumbach. Jesus Christ, this man had me on a roller coaster of emotion. Like, this movie wasn't like improvised or anything. These people went through the script.
Yeah.
And you know how hard it is to go through the script? It is hard.
Yeah.
It is hard as hell. I had like me personally, I will add a couple words like it, or the. But these people were just like, did everything right in the spot. And like, man, from this man, they're like, had he get inspiration from his own life, from like his previous marriage. My God, and like I don't know, man. Like, it's just hard for me to convey everything I have to say about him. I don't know, just like, well, anything about this movie is hard for me to convey in words, to be honest. And
it's one of my favorite films of the year.
it's one of my favorite films of the decade.
That's fair enough too.
And I'm like, man, he's gonna get a nomination for sure. He's not gonna win it. But
I'm not so sure that he'll get nominated. I definitely think he should. Like I said, he's in my top 5, or he's in my picks. But I think when people look at Marriage Story, when they look at Noah Baumbach, before they see him as a director, they see him as a writer. I think he has a better chance of getting into the writing category than he does directing. But I think he should be nominated. But we'll see.
All right, that's my number 1.
My next one is Greta Gerwig for Little Women. Now, I liked Little Women a lot. I didn't love Little Women. I didn't love Little Women like I loved Lady Bird. Lady Bird's a much better film, but I had to think about it, analyze the film and break it down. What I didn't love about Little Women necessarily was some of the story choices. Now, was that Greta? No, that was Little Women. That's what she adapted. So, as from a directing standpoint, I think she did all that she could with that film. It's a beautifully shot film. It takes you through so many emotions. She gets so many good performances from each actor in that film, and is able to adapt an older story, keep it in that time period, but bring a modern context to it.
All right. I'm that's my second and third. For 2, John, I'm with Bong Joon-ho. You basically said it already, so I'm just move on to 3, and it'll be James Mangold,
who is also in my picks. So,
man, like that. I wouldn't necessarily say I'll watch that movie like every 2-3 months, but like if it pops up somewhere or I feel in the mood, yeah, I don't know. Like this man should have got nominated for, I think, for like Logan.
I agree,
and I hope he does get the nomination for Ford vs Ferrari. But like just especially what he did, like for was it like whenever they were racing, him and the cinematographer did a good job having us, the viewer, as we were driving the car or as we were one of the passengers.
Yeah,
and also made us like totally like feel for the characters. Like these are 2 guys who are like going against like the establishment, and also I have to say.
I really hope the Academy does nominate him. And James Mangold is a terrific director. I think we should shout out some of his older films too, not just Logan and the Wolverine, but Walk the Line, obviously, and going back further than that, A Copland, which is a very good film from the '90s with Stallone and Robert De Niro. People should check that out. That's one of his earlier films, and it's really good. And going to my final pick for Best Director, I mean, he's probably my personal pick, but that's Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is my favorite. I mean, this is my second favorite movie of all time. It may at one point move up to my favorite film of all time, favorite Tarantino film. So a lot of categories, I'm gonna, pick it for the win just because of that. And I think this film is terrifically directed. I don't know what more I can really say about it, but what's your last pick?
Last 2.
Last 2, okay.
Martin Scorsese, just because it's Martin Scorsese. I don't really need to add anything else to it. Like that's just how I feel. Then like last one, I'm with you, Quentin Tarantino.
And I will go off of this. I do think Martin Scorsese is going to get a nomination. I just don't think he should get a nomination for The Irishman. But
that's how I feel. Well, she's still gonna get it just because it's Martin Scorsese.
Of course.
But with Quentin Tarantino, like what he did to bring like that time in Hollywood to the big screen and make it like bright as hell. Like and how we say like all up in your face, but not in a forceful way. Just like it still feel natural. And especially if you have like certain people that have worked with you call you like oh, he's a crazy dude, but I wouldn't mind working with him again. And especially
like, just like look at different parts of that film because you have a scene that's like very dialogue driven, acting driven. The whole part with DiCaprio, right when he's filming the show, you have that, and then you also have like very subtle moments with Margot Robbie's Sharon Tate stuff she's doing, and then you also have this horror type movie with Brad Pitt going in Spawn Ranch. You have the friendship stuff with him and Leo, and then you have the crazy violence at the end. It's just who could do all of that and make it such a masterpiece other than Tarantino?
And also like honestly, like when I watch the trailers, I love the trailers.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I mean, like watching the trailers, you kind of know like okay, basically like probably gonna use some stuff from the Sharon Tate murder. But we didn't know what the hell we were gonna expect. So like we had like glimpses like or we saw like premises here and there, but we didn't get like the full exact picture.
Yeah.
And I honestly like, and like the movie was heavily like relied on like dialogue driven and acting driven, which I enjoyed the hell out of it. And I want like it's up in there with my favorite Tarantino of all time, right with like Inglourious Basterds.
Inglourious Basterds is my second favorite Tarantino film.
Yeah. I don't know, just I don't fucking know, man. This man's just fucking crazy. Like, this man is crazy as hell. Like, don't lie. You wouldn't mind working with him? I especially wouldn't mind working with him. Will I get my ass cussed out a lot? Yeah, I would get my ass cussed out a lot. But, like, especially for a guy who just does everything, like, old school, he doesn't go in, like, modern day. He does everything old school. He will literally just give you the scripts, like, paper and just, like...
Really, yeah. Like, I've been watching so many interviews because really Tarantino is my idol as far as, like, filmmaking goes and screenwriting goes. If I could be, like, a tenth as good as Tarantino, that'd be amazing. But yeah, there's definitely, he's very old school. He gives people just the scripts. They have to. Brad Pitt had to come to Tarantino's house just to read the script for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. No phones are allowed on his set. He's very strict about that. He wants it to be like this closed off environment. He's right there at the camera instead of being off in Studio City, like watching the recordings and stuff. He's right there with the actors. And I think that's really awesome.
And that's how it should be in my opinion, to be honest.
I agree. Yeah. And it's really cool that he's really still dedicated to film too, and showing his films on film.
Like, man, I know, like he said, the 10th will be his last, but he make a list like change his mind the last minute. They're like, let me make him 5 more after this.
I would like that. Like, I don't know.
I know we can make a separate video about this one day.
And that would be pretty cool too.
I know we can make a separate video about this, like saying what he can do for the future. But dude, there's so much he can do. Like, Kill Bill Volume 3. He can do like that Inglourious Basterds spin-off. He can do like the Django Unchained Zorro movie. Like the possibilities are endless.
Okay, so briefly before we go off on this, I just want to throw this out there since you mentioned all of those ideas. This is what I want Tarantino to do. I want him to take a break, wait a while before he makes his 10th and final film. And what I want him to do next is I want him to do an anthology series, not series, like a mini series, anthology mini series, and take all of those stories you said and put them in a show. So we have one show that's like Kill Bill Volume 3, but which it wouldn't really ever be called Kill Bill Volume 3. It'd be called The Bride or something because it'd be about the little girl coming to kill her. So you have that. You can do the Inglourious Basterds spinoff that's about the African American soldiers that he talked about. You could do the one about Aldo and his life before Inglourious Basterds. You could do the Vega brothers. You could do Django. You can do the Australian Western that he was talking about. There's so many possibilities that he could do in an anthology series without having to dedicate a whole film to it.